Good job. Good boy, Hutch. Come here. So we're at about 7,000 feet elevation. We're hunting for black morel mushrooms. You're looking for anything that just sort of pops out, looks maybe like it wasn't there yesterday. My favorite mushroom to find in the wild is chanterelle. It's only because it's not so prolific in the state that we live in now. But there are other mushrooms I really like to find too. So occasionally, while you're looking for the mushrooms that are growing on the ground, you have to kind of peer your glance up because there's other things that maybe we're not noticing. For example, just hanging up off the ground is this lovely cluster of oyster mushrooms growing on this dead pine. You see that right there? Fresh. Helping this dead tree break down. So when I harvest this, I get it from the back because that's where the stem is. Generally, it's really fresh, so it's not too difficult to get off the tree here. I try not to damage the tree, even though it's a dead tree. I sort of never want it to look like somebody was harvesting mushrooms. Generally, they came off really easily. You just got to be careful not to cut yourself. And sometimes they just peel right off. So I'll just take a tiny cluster. You see what I was saying about the center? Actually, it's coming off the side. It's really, really tasty mushroom. Notes of anise, I think, is really nice. So it pairs really nicely, like fennel is a great companion herb with this mushroom. One of the most prolific mushrooms in the world. Just last week in this area, I found porcini, which was a shock because it's very early in the season. But you know, I'm looking on the ground for anything that kind of stands out. I got sober 10 years ago. One of the things that helped me was being able to spend time out in a place like this, to really slow down, to reduce all the noise. I feel like when I'm out in a place like this, I'm singularly focused and I don't have any really cares in the world except, you know, maybe I have to get home for dinner. But generally, there's more to it than actually finding mushrooms. It's actually just like the pursuit. Ah, this is what we came for. This is a black morel. Just popping out of the duff, like doing its own thing. And so I generally will scan the area to make sure I'm not standing on them because they do grow in groups. And I don't see any at the moment. Doesn't mean they're not here, it's just I don't see any. But this gives me hope, meaning there's probably some more time left in the season. This is super fresh, beautiful. The rarity of finding a black morel in Colorado, it's not terribly rare because you can find them in burn zones. After a big fire, the year after, you can see a bunch of black morels popping up. But it's not terribly common, not like you would find a Boletus edulis or rubriceps in the Rockies, which is the king porcini. That's a very common mushroom you can find. So it's always special when you find a morel. For me personally, I really love finding the black morels.